When I started to look into doing a podcast, I knew I had a lot to share and say, and I wanted to do it in an audio format. I was a little intimidated, not going to lie, about how I was going to go about recording and editing and distributing and all those things because technology is not my strong suit. Naturally, I can learn things. And so when I started to take webinars and ask questions on Facebook and other platforms, I decided that Anchor was the best way to go. It's been a bit of a one-stop shop for me. I can record all of my episodes, I can edit them. It's been really nice because it's free. And when I started to do a podcast, it was, okay, how am I going to rebuild my practice? I had to close my practice down because of COVID, federal mandate. So how was I going to rebuild things? How was I going to give myself something to do? Because this defines me. What I do, it defines me. So I really needed an outlet, and the budget was like nothing. So having this free option has been great. I am recording on my laptop, but I can also record on my phone if I decide that's a way to go, or maybe I don't have my laptop on me. And so that's pretty exciting to know I can do it from there too. They also take and distribute to various apps for people to listen on, which again, that is taking one stressor away from me so I can focus on my content. And if it's something you'd like to do, if you have something you'd like to say, I can't recommend it enough for somebody who's a newbie and starting out. And I feel like even if I wasn't, new at this, it's been something I've been doing for a while, I would still like this platform because of the ease of everything. So if it is something you'd like to look into, you can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm. That's ANCHOR.fm to get started. Welcome to The Infinite Dance. I'm your host, Carrie Arata. In this episode, we're going to go over the inauguration. I was so taken by this inauguration, more than anyone I've ever been in my entire life. And I've seen quite a few presidents and vice presidents sworn in. I mean, number one, a female Black Asian vice president was sworn in. Hello! So exciting. So exciting. I've always said, ever since I was a young girl, well, I felt this, but I think I started speaking it when I was in high school, that it'd be a great day when we have a female Black president of the United States. I'll take vice president, and boy, this is laying the foundation for women to come. So excited, so excited, and so nice to see a woman as a vice president. So, yay. It's interesting, too, that both Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were sworn in before their time that they were supposed to be sworn in. And Kamala was sworn in at 11:41 a.m. So I'm going to get into a little bit of numbers and numerology because I really like numbers. And I think that everything comes down to numbers. But 11:41 equals 7 if we add those all up. So the number 7 is a breakthrough number. I always see it as breakthrough. Like, okay, we're getting past the communication and it's rising. 7 in dimensions, and I'll have a whole podcast about an episode about dimensions. But the 7th dimension is a dimension of birth and death. So we don't interact with it too much unless, we're born or you're giving birth. And then, of course, when we pass. And, 7 is also a number of persistence and endurance. And holy heck, has Kamala Harris had to embrace those. And it takes a strong, strong woman to be where she is. And also, 7 incorporates intuition and an inner wisdom and a deep inward knowing. And again, I think that really, somebody who's strong is going to have those qualities. It's almost like, you're going to have to really come to your peace with yourself to be able to exude that strength. So I'm going to come back to Kamala Harris, but I'm going to go into Joe Biden's. When he was sworn in 11 minutes early. So 11 is a portal, so a divine portal opening. It's also a master number, and it symbolizes duality and this merging of the divine masculine and feminine, which, hello, we have. And to me, that's just so important to have a representation of who you are in such a place of earth power. The president and the vice president are powerful earth positions, and that's really important. And 11's a gateway to change. And I think we're all up for that right now. So this is really not by accident. This is very meant to be. And Joe Biden is the 46th president of the United States, and 4 and 6 is 10. And 10 broken down by itself, without the zero, is a 1. And the first thing that came to mind was all 1. And 10 is a number of arriving at new. There's hope. We get to create our own destiny because we know we have that power within us because we've taken all these other steps, right? We've gone through all these other things. 10 can also be a wake-up call to take action to live a fulfilled life. Yes, please. Let's do this. So I felt that was really pertinent that he's coming in with all these, and same with Kamala Harris. Numbers in place. What they're doing, they're both making the sacred oaths that will get registered in at their soul's history at an Akashic level. This will show up. If I just got given their birth dates and where they were born, or this is going to come through as something that is a part of their soul's history now. So let's get into Biden's speech. He kept repeating the word unity, one nation, and we're in this together. And I think that's, hello, coming in as the 46th president, the number 10, all one. He's really embracing that. That's really seems like it's at the forefront of where he's coming from, like his base. And, he even talked about empathy. He quoted his mother, saying, begin quote, just for a moment, stand in their shoes, end quote. Yes. If more people knew what it was like to experience poverty or struggle in race and, having injustices put towards them, we would just have, I believe, a different society. So I think it's really important that we have now a president who is saying, yeah, we really have to step back and go, what must that be like? And if you don't know, start to find out, well, what is that like? Read and listen and really start to listen. I keep getting an image of somebody sitting and almost in a meditative state, listening to other people's experiences that they don't know or maybe won't ever have. And what is that like to really listen and have that come in so that you can really know what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes. He really spoke of how we need to listen again and hear and see and respect one another. And he sees his role as a cause, not just that he's a candidate. I feel like he really gets it, that there's more. It's not just him. It's all of us. We all have to do this together. We all have to go, yeah, we got to make some deep changes. And it's going to come from a place that's we're not used to. But these changes need to happen. He kept saying his whole soul is in this, leading force for good. He referenced Martin Luther King and the women marching for their right to vote. And I think it's so important to bring up the past, those that laid this path for us now. And it was really interesting. At the moment that he said, begin quote, politics doesn't have to be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path, end quote, the sun began to shine on the left side of his face. And I was like, yeah, like it's just blessings coming in. Like, yep, you're saying these things that people need to we know is true, but we need to hear these things out loud. He didn't back down from anything. Everything kind of came out in that speech. And he's like, yeah, this is not good. And, that having racism and these aren't good. We need to move, get away from this and start taking some major steps. So, having somebody really come up and say, I'm not going to tolerate this, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this different. And getting the sun saying, yeah, here's a spotlight. Let's shine that, let's shine that thought, because that needs to, that's a truth. That's a core truth. So, but also, not going to leave out Amanda Gorman. Oh my goodness. That youth poet laureate. Oh, I cry and get goosebumps every time I either read or hear her speak this poem, The Hill We Climb. Every time it just hits so many different parts of me. And like, yeah. And it's so to the point and so deep. And I think that's what makes it so fantastic, right? Like, you don't have to really, it says things right out, right? The one quote that has been quoted a lot, begin quote, for there was always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it, end quote. We all get that, right? And from an Akashic perspective, it's like, oh yeah, and somebody who does spiritual work and does their own soul or dark shadow work, getting to that light when you're in a dark place can be so tough, and it can be the hardest thing ever. It could be downright ugly and awful, and you're filled with despair and hopelessness. And to actually sit with it, though, because everything changes. We were guaranteed change in life, that it will transmute. And here she is putting this in this beautiful poem on the inauguration. Is even more hopeful to me. I mean, it's just, there's so much hope that's coming through. A couple of other quotes of hers from this poem that stuck with me were, begin quote, "For while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us," end quote. That one really stuck. Of course, I do Akashic work and soul's history work. So I'm always looking into history of our beings. And so for her to note that in that way, like history has its eyes on us. Yeah. I think that's really joining timelines too. And that's, what we've kind of come in to here with an ascension from a 3D consciousness to 5D consciousness of joining a sense of spirituality or higher self, things you can't see, right? With things you can. And I think that's a simple way to put what going from a 3D consciousness to a 5D consciousness is. And there's more to it than that. But for the sake of this episode, I'm going to stick to that. And she really hit on that. And that was just very important to know. We're looking ahead, but we're not, we know we've got to get it together here. We've got a lot to heal, a lot to heal. And the last part of her poem that stuck out to me, I mean, the whole thing really did, but the ones that, another one that I really felt drawn to, another part of the poem is, begin quote, "If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright," end quote. I get goosebumps saying, even repeating these, to have a mercy, the sense of grace with strength, again, is combining that duality. And knowing that it all comes down to love. Then everybody has a chance. When we come from heart space, it's really hard. If you really touch into your heart space, it's really hard to be hateful. And to note, again, in a speech at an inauguration, a political inauguration, of love, of coming from, a feeling. This is, again, this is where I resonate. This is where I'm doing all of my things from. So again, it's not only hopeful for all of us, it's, I feel a personal sense of hope too, of, wow, we can, what I do will have more of a global merit. Because essentially it's, when we look after our own selves and come from love and love ourselves, that ripples to all those around us. And to acknowledge this and have this acknowledged again at a political worldwide event is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So exciting. So exciting. And I want to touch on another part of the inauguration that I thought was so cool. I'm sure you did too. Notice the beautiful colors that everybody was in. And I'm going to start with Kamala Harris. She was in that beautiful deep purple, which, immediately, of course, red and blue is purple, and combining, the conservative and the liberal, red and blue politically, and you know, um, duality again, combining both, having a balance. And let's get into the colors as chakras too. So the chakras are energy centers. So again, where feelings kind of can reside for us. And the purple that she was wearing, to me, represented a bit of both crown chakra, which sits right about above the head, right on the head, and third eye chakra, which is between your eyes on your forehead. And third eye chakra taps into our intuition and our imagination, our wisdom, and our ability to think and make decisions. Hello, that's definitely something that you want a vice president to have tools of. And also the crown chakra, which is our opening up to our source, to spirituality, to our higher self, to our purpose. And boy, that color, that purple she was wearing really said, I'm here on purpose, and I have a purpose. And then let's go, let's go from this other realm, right? Let's bridge again this idea of bringing in feeling to this earth interaction of which is politics. It deals with everything happening on an earth plane. So really, really powerful that she chose that. I believe she really chose that on purpose. Again, purpose, but I really think she has a good insight to that. And let's see, Jill Biden had on blue, like a lighter blue, which to me, I always see that color as a high priestess color. So again, a knowing, like I know things, right? I know my an inner knowing. And also a blue color can hit on throat chakra. So the fifth chakra, which is expressing oneself and being able to speak your truth and, expressing your feelings. How am I feeling? I mean, this whole inauguration had this sense of feeling. I mean, we were all crying, we were all crying through it. So there was so many feelings coming through, and, um, and, she really, her outfit, I believe in that color, hit on that chakra, which is important. And Amanda Gorman was in that beautiful bright yellow, which represents chakra 3, our solar plexus, and our place of personal power and self-confidence. And boy, does she exude those things. Um, uh, I mean, just everything about what she did and what she represents and her gifts that she shared on that stage at that age. Oh my goodness. The future is so bright. The future is so bright. And here she is in this bright yellow, happy, sunny yellow, right? And she had red around her too, I believe, which ties into root chakra, so base of the spine, and that kind of hits on survival, security, and stability, and having a stable sense of personal power and secure that's what every young person needs and should always have, and that should never be taken away from them. And so often it does. And I think it was just, again, so right on point that she was in that beautiful, bright, powerful yellow, and the red with the confidence and the stability. And then there was Michelle Obama when in that deep red burgundy pantsuit that was so powerful. She had just exuded a sense of strength. And again, that red to me ties into root. So that stability and knowing, where Michelle Obama came from, being, her husband being a president, and, she's kind of laid a foundation a bit of this base of strength. And I think she really exuded that in the color she used and even how she interacted with Kamala Harris at the inauguration. So what a beautiful ceremony. And again, a beautiful sacred oath that we all got to witness. And right before about 2 weeks before, I'd say, I started having dreams of Ashtar Command, which is a galactic assistance of light, and third eye assistance. So again, communicating in that intuitive way, which we've all been able to try out since we've been in masks now for almost a year. It's not that we're all communicating through third eyes, but we are listening more attentively and trying to listen in a different way than I think we ever had. And so that assistance was coming through in regards to the inauguration, which I feel so blessed to have taken part of this, or been a part of this part of our history in my lifetime, to witness this. And I think the future looks so incredibly bright. And again, it's not going to be perfect. And I think that's okay to acknowledge that. It's, but we're having a kind base and a feeling base and a base that's coming out of love. And that's important to me. That's why we're all here. I believe that's why we're all here doing this thing with each other, trying to connect. And it's emotional. I'm getting a little emotional even talking about it again. But you can reach out to me at ancientbodyworks.co for private Akashic readings and chakra clearings. I do guided meditations every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I have a Facebook group called The Infinite Dance. It's a nice community where we get to share things, ask questions, and continue conversations from this podcast. If you'd like to be a part of that, go ahead and send a request. I'd love to have you. And I look forward to bringing you another episode next week. And until then, may I have this dance.